And we're live. It is Whiskey Watches the Wheels. And guys, it's episode 40. We've actually been doing this shit for 40 different podcasts. I love it.
Kind of weird.
It is kind of weird. I'm Matt. Guys, introduce yourself.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Kevin.
All right. And we are missing James tonight. He's doing something. Fuck, I don't know. Again, summertime. We all got stuff going on. So, yeah, that's the beauty of having four of us. We can keep putting out episodes even if someone's not here. What's
Sometimes
going on,
we
fellas?
prefer when they're not here.
Well, sometimes. Depends on, it is what it is. What's going on? How's things going? Same old shit? Anything new and interesting?
Not for me.
Not for you?
I mean, I have a grand opening today. I have a grand opening that I'm going to be doing that Matt's not coming to. But
listen, I'll share the audience. So for whatever reason,
no, hold on. I got to at least tell people when it is.
Okay, you set it up. You do it.
So September 21st, 4:00. Check out my Instagram, asphaltkillerswithaz.com or asphalt_killers with a Z on Instagram. I'm going to have a grand opening. The business has been around since 2000, but we had COVID for 2 years. I was just doing apparel, but now I'm making so much more Porsche parts that I have quite a catalog. So I've invited a whole bunch of the Porsche crew, including Matt, Casey. James did not get an invite because he lives in North Carolina, but he'll probably listen to this and ask for an invite. So we're going to have like music, a DJ. My daughter's going to rip it up on the ones and twos, and we're going to cater some food in, some barbecue stuff, have a display of cars. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see it's just a get together. Like it's, but I've been working on my showroom for the past week. Like it's always been there, but now I'm putting so much more parts and more slat wall. It used to be like very boutique-ish, and it still kind of is. But anyways, I invited Matt. He said yes, and then he hasn't yet another birthday again. So we'll just leave it at that.
There's a running joke in our group that every time something is going to go happen with us, some sort of birthday comes up that I have to miss it for. And so when Kevin put up there, initially it was going to be the 14th, then it was the 21st. And so I'm like, yes, I'm there 100%. Me and Stacy will be there, done deal. And then Saturday Stacy gets text message that it's our nephew's birthday and that he's having a thing. And so I had to reluctantly tell the guys that I wasn't going to be there and suffer the consequences, which I knew I was going to get, and rightfully so.
Yeah, so there's all my stuff that I kind of do. So I've been doing a lot of stuff. Decals, exhaust. I mean, I just got done. I just got in some carbon fiber anti-buffeting diffusers that just came in. I've just been hitting it hard, making parts. So I'm going to give discounts and like buy one, get one free t-shirts and stuff like that. Like just try to get rid of some stuff. And yeah.
Absolutely. There you go. If you have a G body and you need your nuts cooled, Kevin's the guy.
Yes. So I have it's pretty much, I'm going to be kind of niche. I'm going to try to stick with G bodies. I do have some plate model stuff, but it's only because I wanted it and, I made it. I know Casey, you asked, and I know Matt, you guys had some parts to make, and they were so complicated.
I know.
Plus, I got to look at stuff that has some things have patents on them, some things don't. So, I don't.
We have to find you some 997 stuff though, because that is the new modern classic. It's going to be the next thing, and the 996 and 997, most of that stuff is interchangeable, or a lot of it, especially the interior bits. So we got to find you some things on there.
So I'm making some 997, 996. Turbo and GT3, the lines for the water, because normally they're welded and pinned. So I'm making those that put in, either you can put them in with JB Weld or you can weld them yourself. So those are on the lathe as we speak. And then they were easy. And there's other companies that spend they charge $225 for this shit. And it's just ridiculous for, what it is. So I'm trying to make it affordable. The Porsche crowd is sometimes they feel if they don't spend a lot of money on it, I think they kind of like, oh, I spent this much on it, but
right.
Maybe that's why I have 3 Porsches, because I don't like to spend a lot of money. I don't know.
Dude, so I saw an article in the paper, in the magazine, it's a couple of months back or whatever, but it talked about the top 10 cars that the Millionaire's Drive. And literally, there wasn't one sports car or supercar on there. It was like, Toyota Camry, several Genesis. Genesis was big. There's like 2 or 3 different Genesis models. Obviously, Tesla was on there, but the most expensive car on the list was probably 60 grand.
No, but they have a
fully
private jet. Like I used to have a venture capitalist for my first business, and he drove off-lease Tauruses, and the guy was worth $15 billion with a B, and he would drive off-lease cars but he did have like Tom Cruise's old Learjet. I mean, so and when I say old, it was probably 2 years old. But it's for them. It's just transportation. It's not. I don't know. So that's what's new for me. That's what's been going on. Nothing else.
Cool.
Casey?
No, just been working away. Spent the weekend at the track, which was fantastic.
So let's talk about that. What'd you do?
Yeah, so I went down to NC Car, which is 90 minutes south of Richmond. It was originally designed as a Lotus test track. As I'm talking here, I'll try to find a picture of the track I sent somebody. But it's a fairly safe, or not fairly safe. It is a very safe track. Lots of runoff room. It's got some good speed to it. So you can really kind of stretch your car's legs, which is obviously a lot of what we're out there, to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Car ran beautifully. It was hot, 90 plus on both Saturday and Sunday. So historically, for like a M9X engine, that's like death, right? That is not a good combination for the M9X engines. But of course, I've done all the stuff, quote unquote.
You got new radiators, man.
Got the CSF radiators, the low temp, running the right oils, that sort of thing. But it ran beautifully. It did all the stuff, and it was just freaking awesome. Outran cars that it shouldn't have, which is
such as.
You had a Lotus Evora race car out there, like dedicated track car, race car. You had it's a Mustang group, so it had a lot of Boss 302s and GTs and whatever, and all those guys are they love just getting on the straight, coming out of the last turn 11 and just hammering it. But it outran BMWs. There was a 991.2, so it was a base, but turbocharged. It pulled it down the straightaway. It did everything that I envisioned it doing. And you drive these things on the street and you're like, oh, this feels fast, this feels good, whatever. But until, at least for me, I get on track, something I'm familiar with, and really in just going hard, you really see what it's capable of. And I need more suspension, I can tell you that. But otherwise, the engine just was fantastic.
You have stock brakes, so I know you said you had some brake fade. You were in pageants.
I'm running, so I run the RBF 600 fluid, right? So that's the right fluid. I've got they're drilled rotors. I don't know if they're stock. Somebody, previous owner had tracked the car, so they could be replacement parts. And then the Paget RSL 29s, which should be an endurance pad. What I have discovered as I went back out there, I was getting some softness in my pedal. It wasn't nearly as bad. Is that I put those Renline pedals on, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got that little additional flap on the gas pedal, and I did notice one time I was braking coming into turn 1, and I was hitting gas as well, and I could have been hitting both, in super
riding the brakes,
superheating, So I'm not going to say it's. I do think I need to replace the rotors, get something more aggressive, or at least get this glaze off of them. But overall, the car was fucking amazing.
How are you at hill towing?
I mean, I do it every shift.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not great at it. I admit that freely. You know, they make an auto blip for our car,
Mhm.
and you know it's not expensive, but I never really, you know, I'm not big on that.
So
But
I started just practicing on the street,
yeah.
and then these pedals. So when I would get the stock pedals on the track, the for me the the gas pedal was just slightly too skinny, and I felt like my foot was just off the brake just a little too far for comfort. I could do it, but during heavy braking, when you're like, holy shit, I've got to slow this 140-mile-an-hour car down, it just was a little uneasy. So giving the extender on the gas pedal really boosted that confidence in that I really just had to roll the side of my foot rather than feeling I had to hang half my foot off the pedal.
Yeah.
Here, I finally got this picture of the track here. So it's not a super complicated track. We ran the chicane here, which really saves on tire life coming around here. This group that we ran it clockwise on Saturday, then counterclockwise on Sunday. The track was designed to be run counterclockwise, and you can see all the different types of turns you get. You know, constant radius, tight hairpins, long loops, closing radius, etc. And you know, the course is super fun. You can see everything. Most people run it incorrectly because they try to follow. They try to swoop it, and
Mhm.
so I'm running this course as many times as I have. I literally have thousands of laps on this track. I can really outrun people, even smaller, nimble cars, more nimble cars, like the Miatas. There's a couple, quote unquote, professional Miata racers out there. They did like champ car or cup car, spec car Miata stuff. And you can keep up with those guys if you know how to cheat the course. Um,
Do you
but it's
guys have? Do you have? Like when I run Sebring, we have. Oh, when you see this tree break, when you see this, when you see the black dot over the bridge, wide open throttle. Do you guys have that as well with that course? That's just a landmarks that you know you're looking for that landmark, so you can either start braking or you
So
know.
it's fairly flat. There's not a lot of elevation, so some of those eye triggers aren't as easily findable. They do put out in the heavy braking zone, turn one. They will put the 500
Yeah.
markers out, so that's good. The rest of the course, again, I've run it so many times. I couldn't tell you what my visual clues are, but I have them. And if you watch like my laps, they're very consistent on where those markers are. But I've run it so many times. I do think that that is an issue for people who are new to the track, that they don't necessarily have those visual clues, and because it's so flat, there's some tar snakes and stuff that you can find, you can see, but you know, random corner, where do you turn in? Like how
Well,
late
that's what I'm
should?
saying because we
Yeah.
have the same thing. Sebring's very flat as well. So you're looking at a tree. You're looking at the this grandstand. You're looking at like because since it is flat, you have to look at okay. Once you
Something
see
else.
this, right?
Yeah.
You can't look at and so on your motorcycle, what lap times did you used to run compared to what your lap times?
So clockwise, so Saturday's direction, you would run if you ran say 135 to 130, you were hoofing it.
Okay,
Sub 130, I maybe ran like once or twice. Um, and so in the
and on a
car,
motorcycle.
that's on the motorcycle, yeah.
Oh,
In the
okay, okay.
in the car, I ran basically the same times both directions. I ran like a 137, and then the opposite direction, the course is faster. At least for the bikes, it was. But you're still, you know, I'm just a human, but you're still looking at the high 120s, and I was still running like a 137, 138
Mm.
going
Wow.
the other direction. So, you know, four wheels of rubber, you think you're going to be faster, but it's not always the case. And this sort of track where it's back and forth, kind of flowy, the bikes seem to be faster. So
What was the King Dingaling out there? What was he running, or she?
So I would say I was probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest guy. There was a guy in a late model BMW that his car was very fast down the straight, as was the Supra, very fast down the straight. The Supra was not good in the curves, so he would gap me quite a bit going down the straight, and I could come up on him by the time turn 11 comes. The BMW was pretty quick. So I'd say he's probably maybe a second faster than me.
And what BMW was it? Like M4?
It would have been like an M2 comp or something like that. Yeah.
Which makes sense. That's the same engine that's in the Supra.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Then there was no like C8s. There was a couple there was one C7, a couple C5s, but most of them were Mustang things or like Charger type cars. And those things they're not fast.
No.
Down the straight, they're fine. But like I said, my car was able to keep up, if not be faster than them. And so again, this is a very nice, laid back group to run with. But as such, they're not fast. And
so the Supra and the BMW, I'm assuming they had some stuff done to their cars.
So I went and spoke with the Super guy because his father was the one that had the Lotus race car, and so I had fun in the curves keeping up with him. He and I kind of exchanged, passes back and forth, and that was kind of the car. I figured that if I could keep up with that I felt like I was driving pretty well.
Yeah.
But anywho, the Supra had everything done. Bigger turbos, meth injection, just like. And he had a very difficult time keeping it cool. So it was having a lot of timing retardation because of the heat. But it had everything done. It was fully built, roll cage, that sort of thing. So again, I felt awesome about the car. It obviously pulled me down the straight, and you expect, 600 horsepower, whatever horsepower car to do that. But being able to keep up with somebody who's put that much money modifying a brand new car is a lot of fun.
Now, do you think that once you get different seats in, you will be able to?
That would have made a huge difference.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think so.
I literally, both my knees, or the side of my legs have bruises from kind of pinning against the door and the center console.
You didn't put pads in there on your car?
No.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. I actually was going to get some in the GT3, and I was about to order them, and when I went in the car, I was like, oh shit, they already have pads on them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it already has a pad on the right leg. And I was like, oh, this is sweet, because I know the 991 did not. I didn't have to do it as much when I have the seats in. And the seats will make you, I think, it's night and day, especially when you strap down those harnesses. I mean, it's just completely night and day.
Yeah, so, I mean, my tires were awesome. Big fan of them, the Kumo V730s. They were super, super nice. First time I've run those on track, so that was, I was a little apprehensive on how they'd react. They were great. Yeah. But definitely need more camber. I've got to get the understeer out of the front end. Really, now it is fun to use, your throttle to get that tail to come around, right. But it's also not the fastest way to do it. And under braking, it wants to lift and rotate as well. So that, again, I use that to my advantage, especially coming into the chicane. But it feels nice, but it's not necessarily the fastest way. So
once you get the suspension dialed in, you get a new alignment done.
Yeah,
it's gonna feel completely different.
Right,
a whole new car, I think, and with the seats.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's what makes me happy. You spend a ton of money on this. And I've known a lot of guys that spend a lot of money and then they go to use it and it's not what they want. And you're happy with what you got, which makes me warm and fuzzy, because you spent a lot of money and you got what you want, and you're happy with it. So
yeah, I'm stoked. It has the power that I'm looking for. Who doesn't want more power? We always want more power, but it's got the juice. And I was concerned about the temperatures because these engines run hot. And just everything worked extremely well. And, temperatures that I would typically expect when it's cool outside is what I was seeing. And the last time I remember being on track, it was like a July track day, and I'm seeing oil temperatures, 275 degrees. And it never even hit 250. And that makes a substantial difference in your viscosity and, all that sort of thing. So all my kind of nervous ticks of always kind of checking around my steering wheel, checking at my oil pressure and, my oil temp. At the end of Sunday, I was like, dude, I don't have to worry about it. I'll check it once a lap coming onto the straight or something, but not like every long corner, peeking around trying to figure out if I'm
it's a double-edged sword. We talk about the M96 and M97 engine. And so for guys like us that are rocking that motor that are NA, there's not a lot you can do other than a build to get power out of that motor.
Right.
So whereas the newer 911s with a turbo, you can go through and hook it up to an ECU and tune and gain, instant extra horsepower, but you get heat soak and you get a lot of heat out of that as well. So it's a catch-22. Those guys like that Supra where you got turbos and you got all this stuff done to it, they're having heating issues or cooling issues and NAs don't. So it's double-edged sword.
Yeah. But as you all said, I was nervous about it as well. I mean, you go through this thing and you don't want to be kicking yourself in the butt because you can't turn around and get that money back. But very happy with it. Very happy. It sounded beautiful. Like, I mean, people wanted me to do drive-bys on their video so they could hear it. Like, it really did sound great. It ran great, and people generally liked it. So that, that's a good feeling too.
That's cool, man. Awesome. What else are we gonna talk about? The news. I was scrubbing through the internet today trying to find like automotive news, and there just ain't shit out there. There's nothing going on right now. Nothing of any substance. There's just not a lot going out there.
Well, yeah, and it keeps on getting to the point where all we're talking about lately is this Tesla this and Tesla that, and I feel like we're sometimes a broken record because it's just. It seems like that's the only thing that people are covering is these damn Teslas. So we're not the only haters as well. It seems like everything is one caught on fire. This happened. I'm seeing more and more of these things getting wrapped. And I guess everyone's trying to like not be have this.
They're trying to unfugly them.
Again, I like the way they look. My wife thinks they're ugly as well. I think I don't know. It just reminds me of a movie. I think I told you guys. I forgot what movie it is. I always forget what movie it is. But
no, here's the thing. I don't think they're necessarily ugly. I think that the styling is polarizing, and I like wild stuff. So the styling doesn't bother me. It's just it's a style that I don't think is going to age well. When you see it, 5 years from now, it's like, I don't
think the Tesla cars, but the Tesla truck. That's basically every movie from Total Recall to Moonwalker to all these movies. They all had square to what's the one with Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Demolition Man. Yep. Every car had that. And now that's what we're seeing, and we're like, we don't like that. Even though, 20, 30 years ago, we were like, man, that's such a cool car.
Yeah.
Right. Now we have it. Now we're like, oh, that's even look at the DeLorean. It was square, boxy. And I'm trying to think of the movie. It's with Harrison Ford. And that movie, it's like Time. I don't know what it's called.
No, he said it before, and I can't remember what I know the movie's talking about. He's mentioned it before.
And they made two of them, like a remake of it too, and he was in the the remake too. But they said that movie is what a lot of car makers looked for the future because it was in the 80s, early 80s was the movie. But and I'm sure some of my the listeners are going, that's this, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, who knows? Other than that, I got some watch bands. I showed you guys.
You did get some watch bands, and I liked them a lot.
I went with last weekend we were talking. So we went with that place that James told us.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. There you go. That's the name of it. Blade Runner. Yes. So if you guys ever get a chance to watch that movie, you're going to see a lot of cars in there that are square, boxy. I mean, that is the watches, everything. I think, I don't know. I don't particularly care for the movie, but I do like the visuals. So back to watches.
Yep.
Yes. So James told us a place to go, and I went immediately and got I think 5 or 6 different NATO bands and different bands. So I have a lot of watches, as you know, that I don't like wear them because they have the OG bands on them, and I'm left-handed, so this always gets scratched up. I just, I don't know. And plus, since I've lost so much weight, I would have to redo them all, and a lot of them I'm going to have to take like an extra
Link out.
and then read. So it's kind of a pain. So I went ahead and just switched out these NATO bands. So like this watch, I've never really worn this watch before because it's a rally, because it's in such good condition. But it had the circles. The band looked like very 70s, like Bruce Lee kind of. It just, I might as well have turquoise on it for all.
It has the exact same band on it as my Pulsar, my red Pulsar. With this, yes.
So I just didn't care for it. So these, I don't know, man, they're super comfortable. Like, so
dude, you're late to the NATO game. Me and James have been telling you for a while that NATOs are the way to go, especially in Florida, because we get sweaty. It's fucking hot as fuck here. So
I color coordinated. My John Players, it's got a really nice band on it, but as you guys know, a lot of these get stretched after a while. So especially when you start sweating here in Florida, we start swelling up. The band starts stretching. So I just decided, you know what, like that orange watch I've never worn before because the band's like perfect condition. I'm sorry, the orange one. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and put an orange band. So I would have to, same thing with the Regatta. Like I wear that watch a lot, but it's one of those watches where I'm like, man, I wish I had like something red to go with it. So,
well, and anyone who has ever vacationed in Florida, it's not uncommon, especially in the summertime. Your wrist can grow literally, a size to 2 in the course of a day, as so you size your band and it's comfortable in the morning, and that's cutting off your circulation by the afternoon.
Yeah, especially if you start eating salty food.
Oh yeah,
I mean, shit. Yeah, my wife's really bad when she's like salt. She's like, look at my foot. I'm like, oh shit, like, okay.
Oh, that shit can happen if you're at the beach. You're hanging out at the beach. Just the salt water can make it happen. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I like it. I wore it today, and we'll see. Like even today, like now it's loose, super loose. When I was out in the heat, it was tight. But now I'm in the air conditioning and it's kind of loose. So and they were really inexpensive. They were like $7-8. Shipping was not bad. I think I paid like $20 for shipping, FedEx. So tons of stuff. Unfortunately, all of the cool stuff for 18 millimeter was a lot of it sold out. And I'm assuming it's because, it's getting towards the end of the year. So hopefully next year they'll come up with some stuff. But man, I tell you what, I was popping spring bars all over the place, like ping. And I'm like, oh shit. And then some of the bars weren't long enough, like that come with the band. So I had to like push them out because they have those ones that have the little tab that you can, the auto.
I like those tabs. Yeah.
I like them too, but I kept on putting in, and I was like, man, it's not working. And it was just too short. So, but I would hear, I'm like, Erin, do you see anything? She's like, no. I'm like, oh, there it is. Okay. So, but I was vacuum sealing.
You were, man. You take it to a whole new level, dude. You send the photo, and I'm like, are you
slightly
kidding
retarded?
Me? Yeah, I'm like, you take it. I'll go through, and I do keep the boxes. And when I take the band, I'll put the band like in the original box and all that, but I don't fucking label it and bag that shit up and everything.
So my daughter walks in. I was using Aaron's little cake vacuuming thing, and my daughter walks in. She's like, "What are you doing?" Because she hears the vacuum thing. It's a big commercial one, and she's like, she looks at me. She goes, "Dad, you're ate up like a soup sandwich." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm vacuum sealing my bands." And she's like, "With labels?" I'm like, well, I got to know which ones they go to. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, Mom, Dad.
So, it's fucking, they're metal. They're not going to tarnish. It's,
No, I know. But actually I ended up not vacuum sealing and just using the crimping thing because they didn't really vacuum seal. I think you have to have some moisture or something like that. Didn't do shit to it. But
it's funny.
Yeah. So other than that, it's hot as shit here and it's raining every day.
It is raining. It's pouring out here right now. It's every freaking day. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, go Go ahead, Casey.
Well, I was just going to say, car-wise, are you all doing anything this fall?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, Farron.
We're all doing stuff.
Well, I know that, but how about in the next month or two?
Yes.
'Cause
That's fair. No.
What? Is it Farron? September?
Well, I'll be doing stuff in October 3rd. So October 3rd, Smokey's GT is going to have an air-cooled event. It's air-cooled only.
October 3rd's a Thursday?
Yeah, I believe it's the 3rd. Yeah, Thursday. So I'm going to take the Red 85 up there. It's pretty cool. It's only going to be, I think, 27 people. They rented out a house that's pretty much, it's brand new. It's a mansion. It's a cabin. It's got like a game room, and every room's got queen bed in there. It's got a movie theater. That's how big this house is.
Is it by chance Matt Mormon's?
It is a racers. It is a
okay. All right.
It is a guy who races like IMSA.
Okay. Right.
It's his house. That's
fucking
from
cool.
From what I understand. So we're gonna do that, and then I'm gonna trailer my car. So I'm gonna borrow my buddy's Raptor because my trucks can't pull. I have a 4Runner and a van, so I'm gonna borrow my buddy's Raptor, and then
Devin's judgment, Casey.
I'm judging. I'm judging.
Well, I mean, I don't live. I live a long way, so and it sucks.
He forgets how far away we live from everything.
That's true.
I mean, I drove up to Virginia in the red car with no AC.
True. That's true. You did.
It sucked.
It was as bad as you thought it would be, right?
Yeah, it was terrible. So I'm going to trailer it up, and then Devin's letting me use his trailer. I'm working on selling a boat so that I can get a
trailer.
Yeah, buy one of those. I'm trying to think of the name.
Like a Featherlight or Illumina.
Yeah, it's not Illumina though. It starts with it's one of the super light ones.
Yeah,
it's with the tonneau cover that goes over it.
Conestoga. Conestoga?
Nope.
Oh, send me a link on this because I need a trailer as well. I've got to sell this motorcycle and the trailer that goes with it. And that's going to be my trailer money because I'm afraid that it'll take all of that plus some to get a nice aluminum trailer.
You're
looking to sell a motorcycle. I'm looking to buy one.
Well, I don't think it's mine though.
No,
you want a clapped out race bike?
No, I do not.
So a lot of the racing guys have them. It's like a Sports Pro. It's called. Let's see here. I'll tell you what it's called. Super light. And so I got to sell my my boat first because of the room. And then after that is Farron.
No track days. That's where I was getting at.
So I'm not doing a track day, although I want to. The PCA, the citrus division of PCA, does a really good job, and twice a year they do an HDPE event at Roebling Road.
Yeah, I've been to Roebling. I raced there. That's actually where my really bad wreck was. Yeah.
Yeah. So they do it at Roebling Road, and it's in October, but it's literally the week before fair, and so the timing doesn't work for me. But I really do want to do one. It's not expensive. It's like $425.
Yeah.
And you get because I have zero track experience.
Then just make sure you get insurance. So
I will. I would. But I have zero track experience, and so with something like that, you're not going. I mean, you're going fast, but they have an instructor in the car with you. It's teaching you.
Roebling, I would say, is probably a pretty safe track to learn on, being that there's no tight corners. It's all like sweepers. It's not really high speed. NC Car, the one that I was just on, is a great one to learn on as well. Lots of runoff, very little kind of places that are get you places, as there's not a lot of like quick action. But I'm glad for you to get out there because I think you'd learn so much about the car. And it's not just about going super fast on track, but I think it's more about learning how the car handles in a high-speed environment, so that if you had something come up when we're at Farron and you've got to do an emergency maneuver or something, that you know how the car is going to react when you flick it. Right. And I think people overlook that a lot when you talk about track days or high-speed driving or whatever. They think it's all just about, quote unquote racing, which, we love to do that. Yeah. But it is learning how to handle the car in different scenarios that you're not going to see or should not see in a street environment until it's
there's a lot of people out there that are like me. They may have zero experience, or they have a fair amount of like canyon experience or mountain experience, but
different type of driving
on the track. They don't know. And so I feel comfortable on the back roads, but on a track I would be crazy slow, because I just wouldn't. I mean, I've done enough literally video game driving my entire life that I know how to pick out a drive line. I know that kind of stuff from Sims, but the physical act of doing it, I would not do well.
And I don't, you know what? I'm not good at sim driving at all, because we did the sim driving at Porsche Experience Center. And there's something to be said when you don't have any G's, or you don't have, no matter what, even if the chair's moving and stuff, it's, for me, it's, I don't see how sometimes some of these kids can, like the IndyCar driver and stuff like that, Formula 2, how they go from like that into a car, because it's so different. But then again, I am 48 years old, so I
with
don't,
you, man. Yeah,
I don't know, but I'm looking forward to PEC.
Yeah, because we're doing the track on that, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do that, and I think that's gonna be good, because that, like you said, Casey, they're gonna bump up the back end, going, you gotta go on the skid pad. Not a lot of people have a skid pad to go on. I know we used to do it in the parking lots, but that in itself will let you kind of figure out how to, correct your steering in the skid, because not a lot of people know how to even get out of a skid.
And especially in the 911, which is obviously rear engined, if somebody didn't realize that, but it handles differently, right? And I always compare handling in the 911 to be very similar to how I would drive my motorcycle. The weight transfer and the way I roll on and roll off throttle, to me, is very, very similar. So as on a bike, a lot of the way, in my opinion, to get out of trouble in the car is to stay in the throttle or add throttle, right?
Right.
Which is counterintuitive to what most people do. They start to feel the rear end lift, they lift off throttle. That's why they call it Widowmaker, right? Because it just throws that ass in around. But when you start to feel it, if you can roll on throttle or at least maintain throttle, you have that feeling of security, and it's getting used to that. And forcing your brain to go opposite of what your initial thought is, or at least be able to react in that manner. And that's why I think it's important. Not only is it a blast, but it's very safe environment to learn those sort of things.
Yeah.
What do you think the percentage of we'll say Porsche drivers have never been to a track day? Well, the drivers, not take out the SUVs, but all the 911 drivers.
Think it's probably 90% have never touched.
Yeah, I would say at least 80%. I mean, there's
now,
a lot of vehicles there.
You go to fucking some of these events, and they're all 911s, right? Like they're all Miatas and 911s. So there's a huge percentage compared to any other model, but I bet it's still infinitesimal compared.
Yeah, I would agree.
What are we driving at PC? Do we know?
I'm just there for a good time.
Cars. I think we're gonna do a GT3 ride along. But probably 911s. I'm assuming.
Well, I'm assuming not. Yeah.
So I don't
care. I'll give me a Cayman.
So I think you're
give
gonna
me a Cayman. I'd love to experience.
Give me a Boxster.
Actually.
I don't give a fuck. I'm good.
I have no idea what we're gonna be driving. I'm sure whatever it is,
it'll be fun.
Well, I'm trying to. The reason I was asking, I'm trying to schedule my next track event. I'm looking at going to BIR, maybe the early part of November, which will be obviously much cooler. But that track is phenomenal. If y'all have never been there, it's amazing. The facilities.
Where's
are
VIR
awesome.
at?
Virginia.
Virginia.
Danville, Virginia. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's a world-class track. They do IMSA racing there. They do Moto America racing there. They do real stuff there. Whereas IndyCar, they do not. They do motorcycle racing. But
don't you also have a PEC gift certificate that you have to use, Casey?
Yeah, I do, and I don't know when and how I'm going to use it. I need to use it. But if we're going to do Atlanta this fall, then I would like to use that to go to like Birmingham because it's a little bit different experience the way I've been had it explained. And I'd love to do that. It's just finding the time to do it. Paul's very
Well, Alabama's not. What
Does it have an
is that?
expiration on it?
It does not.
No,
Okay.
that's fine. What travel time? That's how far from you?
Forever. I mean, if I was driving, it's like 15 hours.
Really?
Yeah,
I guess I didn't
it's
picture
a
that.
long way. Yeah.
So basically, it's the same distance from Orlando to you as it is you to Birmingham, because it's about 15 hours from me to you.
So that's why I've got to like figure out a weekend to go. It's got to be a flight to get into Birmingham, get out there, and so it's going to be a little more involved. But I think the gift certificate's a generous amount. It's about half or 2/3 of what it will cost to do like the experience in Birmingham, whereas it would cover the experience in Atlanta.
Okay.
So it's more expensive out there. So it's just going to be a bigger deal. And I want to do it. I will do it. But it takes a little bit more planning.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even know there was one in Birmingham. I knew of Florida, and I knew of Georgia, and I knew of Cali. I didn't know there was one in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Hey, you can do the California one when we all do the Cali trip.
Let's fucking do it. All right, let's do that. I'm good.
I say we do that next year.
That's okay. But you'll get the invite anyways.
Sorry.
Are we allowed to talk any bourbon? Because I got a bourbon here.
We can talk bourbon. Absolutely. I got a good funny story here too about liquor. So you do it. Shall we bourbon?
Okay. I don't know a whole bunch about this one except that I like it. This is Blue Note out of Memphis. It's a fairly new Tennessee whiskey, and by fairly, there's your dogs, Matt.
That's all right. Listen, it's fine. Let them bark.
This distillery has been around since 2014. It says on its website it's the oldest Memphis distillery at 9 years old, or 10 years old now. So
that's sad.
So you got that going for you.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good. This is their unfiltered, uncut. They do 4-barrel blend. And it's really good. It's Tennessee whiskey, so it's charcoal filtered, but I think it's good.
Isn't that a Chris Stapleton song?
What?
Tennessee whiskey?
Yeah, something like that. But it's only like $50 on Sealbox. It's a good buy. This one I have is a 122 proof, so it's pretty good. But it doesn't drink hot. It's a 70-21-9. And it's I think it's a good sweet bourbon, and it's different. Good. So cheers.
Any notes that from what they say to what is it like spot on from what everybody else is?
So if I'm reading off the Sealbox website, which I am, sweet maple is the first thing they list, definitely. Then they list like coconut cream. I don't get that. Salted caramel, I get that from almost all bourbons. Woodsy oak, yes. Fresh raspberries, I don't know that I do that.
Fresh raspberries.
Perfumed spices, I think it's very spicy on the nose, so I'll go with that. So I'd say yes, it's very bourbony, but I think the filtering kind of takes out some of those kind of odd flavors that you might trigger. Some people love it, some people don't, but I think it's a good bourbon.
Does it hit you in the back or in the front?
Neither. I think it drinks well below the proof. I think it's a well balanced, good bourbon for 100 nearly 23 proof. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think they make that shit up. I think you look at the box and they're like putting in, let's put in the essence of dewberries because it smells good or it sounds good.
I do think that there is some artistic freedom that they put into these descriptions, but like sweet maple
with hints of saffron.
Yeah, I mean a good bourbon, all those notes that we love. If you like bourbon, are gonna be across kind of like all bourbons, right? That's why you freaking like them,
right?
Some of these weird ones, I have had bourbons where you taste really strongly cherry. Okay. Like there are bourbons where I've tasted distinctive cherry. Do I get fresh raspberry? No. But I don't think I also have that good of a nose to be able to pick out that stuff that strongly. But it has all the good bourbon stuff that I like off the nose. So
these guys are missing their opportunity. They need to hook up with the marketing team from Willy Wonka They need to do a Willy Wonka with like the essence of snozberries and chocolate whatever. So,
but it is fun when you do get those bourbons that hit those odd flavors, what I'll call odd, or those odd smells. Because again, you can get some where you're like, holy shit, I'm eating a chocolate, something, and they'll have such a strong flavor of chocolate. Those are really fun bourbons to buy. But this one, I don't get any of that odd stuff, dried fruit maybe. But it's
like
good.
that one that we had in Savannah. Wasn't it like anise? But did we?
Yeah.
We didn't really taste it, did we?
But the star anise, I don't know that I could really describe that flavor. Right? It's not a flavor that I can go into the cat. I mean, I think I have star anise.
You know the
in there,
smell though, because that's what they put that on the fucking ham from like the 60s.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's like clovey, like a clove kind of.
Very much like clove, yeah.
So, some of the flavors that they describe, I just am not familiar enough in, say, my cooking to be able to really like pick it up. And I think that's part of what this is there's those training, like nose training kits that you can buy now that have the individual like spice or smell. I think I need to get one of those because I think that would probably help. But these odd things like sweet milk. What the hell is sweet milk? I don't know what the fuck sweet milk is, but I can tell you I like the bourbon, and
that's all that matters.
And it's especially worth $50. $50 doesn't buy much in the bourbon world anymore, but this is a good one for $50.
So it buys you three things of Evan Williams.
And I love my white label Evan Williams.
If the money's right, you like it, and when you drink it, you literally feel warm and fuzzy.
Yep,
it's a home run.
Good stuff.
Done deal.
I agree.
So, well, you guys are going to love this. So, as I was looking for news stories, which I couldn't find anything, but I saw this and I'm like, I got to discuss this. So, Thompson, Georgia.
Where is that? Mayor. Hold on. Where is it?
I have no idea. Somewhere in Georgia. I don't know where
look
Thompson,
this up
Georgia is.
because if it's redneck as fuck,
it is. Oh, this story is redneck. This man I'm about to tell you about is doing the Lord's work, and that's coming from a reverend. He is doing the Lord's work.
Thompson, Georgia.
All right. So while you're looking that up,
go.
The mayor of a small Georgia town has been indicted on charges that he illegally left a bottle of gin in a ditch for the state prison work crew.
I see nothing wrong with this.
Neither do I. This man is doing the Lord's work, and
this is
for
outside,
whatever reason,
Thompson, Georgia is west of Augusta.
It's probably a fucking dry county or something, But Thompson Mayor Benjamin Benji Carey Cranford.
That's more the story. That fucking name.
Yeah, was indicted on Wednesday and arrested by Georgia Bureau of Investigation agents. He faces felony charges of furnishing prohibited items to inmates and attempt to commit a felony. How is giving an inmate a drink a
felony? Might be a dry county. There's still dry counties in
but
Georgia.
You can still have liquor in a dry county. You just can't sell it.
So it says the indictment issued Wednesday in McDuffie County Superior Court says that the 52-year-old Cranford drove to a store on June 3rd, bought a bottle of Seagram's extra dry gin, and left it in a ditch along Georgia 150 in Thompson in the path of the work crew from Jefferson County Correctional Institution. Thomas police on June 6th asked GBI to investigate the claim that Cranford had given the alcohol to the inmates. GBI said so. This poor man's doing the Lord's work, trying to make sure
First of all, how
the
did
work
they even
crew
find out that it was him? He must have ran his mouth.
One of the guys probably squealed.
Something. Yeah,
he had the credit card receipt in the bag that he left it in.
And let me tell you where 150 runs, at least on the map that I quickly looked up here, is that it runs just south of a big lake. So I'm going to say that this guy's a lake guy, and he had a friend that needed some liquor and happened to be in the highway gang. It was like, hold on, I've been on the boat all day. I'm drunk already. Here's some Seagrams.
Yep, here's some Seagrams. So I saw that, and I just had to laugh. I thought it was funny.
I like that story a lot.
Well, and here's one more. Here's one more for Kevin. Why is all the weird shit Florida?
Because you all are fucking weird.
Dude, it's always Florida, right? So, a dentist has been arrested. A dentist in Florida is accused of flinging a burrito at her husband's face in an argument over a fast food feast she provided him for his birthday, according to the arrest affidavit. Dr. Eshra Persuad, 34, of St. Petersburg, Florida, there you go, Kev, was charged with battery and held in county jail until the next day when she was released on her own recognizance. Her husband of 5 years told the police he was not injured in the altercation. At about midnight on August 3rd, the couple began a squabble while eating his birthday dinner at their home. The dentist's husband reportedly was peeved that she arranged a meal consisting of items from Taco Bell and McDonald's and expressed disappointment, according to the affidavit. In response, Persuad winged the Taco Bell items at his face, hitting him with a soft shell tortilla.
This guy's a dentist, and that's his birthday gift?
She's the dentist. He's probably just a freeloader. She's the dentist.
I love this story.
So striking him on the right side of the face. When police officers arrived, they saw that the burrito was still on his victim's face, according to the court documents.
He just sat there with
He
it
left the burrito on his face. Says Persuad reportedly told the police that she chucked the Mexican-style sandwich at her husband after he threw a bag at her. Her husband purportedly denied.
Here's a very important question.
Yes.
Is a burrito a sandwich?
They
literally just called a burrito a sandwich.
It's a Mexican-style sandwich, it says.
That it is not a sandwich. It's a
it
burrito.
Is not a sandwich, no.
That's a different category.
Listen, it's like saying, is a hot dog a sandwich?
I would argue yes.
Yeah, some people would. So anyway, yeah.
I mean, that story is just so far-fetched, you can't make it up. I mean, it's...
No, you can't make this shit up. No, this is in the regular news.
You hear a lot of that, Casey, on the radio. Pretty much every radio station has weird news, and it's always Florida. But I will say, how many people do we actually have other than Matt here that are from Florida? So I would argue that it's not really Florida. It's just fucked up people from other states come here.
We have a great
I would
climate.
argue, though, that we in Virginia... we're redneck as fuck, but we don't have these stories.
True.
Or you just are smart enough not to tell us.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
that's what it is.
Well, no, you in Virginia would never waste a burrito.
That's right.
You would never waste a burrito. You're going to eat that motherfucker. You're not going to waste it.
Yeah, we get a lot of the alligator stories, and people just we see it, especially you guys watch Instagram. There's like, Florida man,
Yep.
Florida. You're like,
right.
Okay, yep.
It's always
rampant.
Yeah.
But again, I would argue that it's just transplants, because you never really see too many like what we call Florida crackers in these stories. I know, but they're not in the stories.
No.
Right.
Well,
I think because they got enough sense
correct
to not do some of the stupid shit.
True.
Yeah.
I can't explain it, but Kevin's right. I mean, when you talk to people, very rarely do you find a native Floridian. It's usually someone who's moved here. They've been moved here when they were 5 or 6 or older, but very rarely were they born here. So I'm an oddity.
When you find somebody that's like, oh, you're actually from Florida, like you were, and I even say,
and
wait,
you stayed?
You were born here? Yeah, I was born here. Oh man, that's like,
that's
I think
weird.
Shit. My daughter's the only one in the family, and then one other. I know we actually, now that I think about it, we have 3 people. My daughter, another guy, Dakota, and Bert. I think he was. So everybody else is born in another state.
Yeah. I mean, it's very rare in my family. So my grandparents were not from Florida, but both of them moved here very young, and they're in their like 5 or 6 years old. But
so
my parents
I would consider them from Florida.
Right.
Then.
My parents are born and raised here. Obviously, my kids have been. But then Stacy's parents, or her dad, was from actually Oviedo, where we're at. And then her grandparents was from Florida. So my kids are like 4th generation cracker on
I can only imagine what Oviedo looked like 50 years ago, or 60 years ago.
It looked like, honestly, kind of like Zephyr Hills did. I mean, if you really go back to kind of like Zellwood and very, rural, that's the way it was. It's Sanford, where I'm from, which is just, 15 miles north, same way. Same way. And actually where I live now, close to, Fort Christmas area, it's still kind of rural, but it's growing fast. Another 10 years and it's going to be completely overgrown.
So we have Farron coming up. I know Aaron just did
Strauss.
Yeah, Strauss. Yep.
And good turnout. I saw some of the Instagram stuff. Looked awesome. I'm jealous that because I would have loved to have done one at this time of year, but other shit going on, right? But
I can't wait.
6 or 7 cars, or maybe more that were out there. So
that's good. I can't wait. I need a break so bad. I'm on vacation next week. I couldn't realize.
You got any birthdays?
No birthdays.
Okay, that's good.
Not on his vacation, of course.
Not on his vacation, yeah.
Well, I found myself getting increasingly irritated at work, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I looked at the calendar and realized I hadn't been a break since like the spring. So it was I had 3 weeks left to burn. So I'm just taking a week just to freaking take it. Why not?
I mean, I'm like that now. Like luckily my wife's not going to hear this until next week, and she'll be like, "Oh, that's why you were acting like this." But I'm it was so much to the point today that I almost was like, "Yeah, guys, I'm not gonna be on the podcast today because I've just been in that funk." Everything pisses me off. My manager was like, "Are you okay?" Like he must ask me like 3 times, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." It just my time of the month, man.
Yeah. Well, my staff knows me. I am. And you guys know, I'm like the mild-mannered guy. I don't want to, I'm just like, I try to be like the nice guy in the world. And my staff was like, dude, you fucking screamed more the last 2 weeks than I ever have ever. And I was like, yeah, because I'm tired of fucking bullshit. All right. But, so it's definitely time for a break. And so,
your timing is
timing's good. So I'm going to literally spend a week doing nothing. I'm going to do honeydews and I'm going to, go see Kevin. I'm going to hop on my tricycle and cruise around town. And that's it.
Well, and I agree with you all that this time of year, especially for me heading into the fall, is what I call surgery season. So I anticipate, the summer is usually like a grind. But, for me, a weekend like this past weekend, getting out on track and thinking about something completely different, focusing solely on something different is super helpful. And I need more of it. I'll be honest. I need more of that. Workouts are good, and that kind of focuses you for a day at a time. But I tell you, getting out on track really can, at least for me, really kind of get me out of my element and think differently and kind of relax.
Well, I would do the center console in the car, but I'm going to drop the car off at the at driver's choice to have all the pre-Farron stuff checked out. I always put it in the shop, have them go through everything, stem to stern, and make sure everything's good. That way, I do it like a month in advance. That way, if they do find anything, we got time to get it fixed. Yeah. So it'll be there. So I'm not gonna have a chance to put in the center console, but we'll do it later.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, that's an hour in. Anything else before we peace out?
No, hopefully some shit will happen in the world and that we can talk about.
Yeah, news has been, this time of year, summertime is always
or you can get on a flight and go somewhere so we can get one of those stories.
I know it. Well, I was going to go to Miami on Friday, but I'm not going to. I was going to go down there for the International Auto Show, but I got the press kit in the mail today, and it's not. There's not a lot going on, so I'm not going to bother. Spending 4 hours to drive down there at the crack of dawn to turn around and come back. So I'm not going to bother doing it. So, all right, guys. Well, head over to the website, whiskeywatchesandwheels.com. Everything is there. YouTube, link. All of our podcast links are there. Hit us up. Contact at whiskeywatchesandwheels.com if you got any questions. And we'll catch y'all later. Peace out.
And I'll say, hold on. If anybody cared enough to see any track videos, you can hit us up, and I'll send you to the YouTube page. But I don't think it's important enough to post anywhere. But
no, but seriously, ask more questions though. We had the question last week about what watch bands we like, and we dig that. We like answering that kind of stuff. It's better than us asking each other questions. So if there's things that you guys want to know our take on, please let us know. It can be via email. Just hit us up on Instagram, and I'll talk to the guys, and we'll ask it right on the live on the air, and you'll get your answer. So all right, peace out, guys. Later.